Hey guys, it's Christy with Christy's Custom Creations, and today I want to show everybody this super easy but absolutely gorgeous tumbler and how I made it, how you can make it too. I want to show everyone how to make this absolutely beautiful color shifting cascading glitter tumbler. For this tutorial, we are going to get started with a 20-ounce stainless steel cup that I have prepped and spray painted with a matte black Rust-Oleum spray paint. My favorite brand of cups to use is Makerflo, and I will link that down in the description box below. Makerflo has these cute little boxes, and they have like peekaboo windows on the boxes, and also everything always comes in like not broken, packaged really well. So I've been very impressed with Makerflo, and they are my go-to tumbler brand. So I'm going to get started with just a tiny amount of epoxy here. This is my favorite epoxy, Tumblerpoxy, of course, and I'm just going to put enough epoxy on here to make the glitter stick. And we're actually not going to glitter this whole part. The top part of the cup is going to stay solid black, and it just creates an absolutely beautiful tumbler. So I'm going to get really good coverage over the entire cup. You don't need too much epoxy. I'm using just a little bit more epoxy than I would for my glitter method to apply if I was putting just a normal glitter on it. I'm using just a tiny bit more, but probably just about 5 mLs total on the cup. And once I get it on there and get good coverage, I take my finger and I just spread it out, and then I also hit the bottom there real good and make sure it lays nice and flat. So next I'm going to take my butane torch, which I bought on Amazon. I will link that in the description box below. And I'm going to make a really quick pass on the cup just to make sure that my epoxy lays smooth and any micro bubbles are popped. So the glitter that I'm going to use today is called Unfortunate Souls, and it is by It's Pretty Personal Glitter. And I have also discovered that BJ's glitter has the same glitter, and it's called Unicorn Tears. And last time I checked, It's Pretty Personal was out of stock on it, but BJ's had their Unicorn Tears in stock, so check them out. So I'm going to get started. I'm just going to get really good coverage around the bottom of the cup, right around like on the very bottom, and then right around the bottom rim. And once I get good coverage on the bottom rim, let me just turn here so you can see a little better. I'm going to just slightly tilt the cup and sprinkle the glitter so that the glitter kind of cascades up the cup, almost like it's crawling up the cup. And as you can see, I kind of turn my cup a little bit as I go, and just make sure that you don't want it to clump up near the top. So really concentrate on the bottom and let the glitter just flow up the cup as you work, because like I said, you're holding it down at an angle. So just let the glitter naturally flow, and it's going to create this beautiful cascading look on your cup. Like I said, this cup is so incredibly easy and quick to make. So I would love to see everyone's projects. If they decide to make a cup similar to this, I would love to see it in our Facebook group. And I will post a link to the Facebook group down in the description box below. Once I get my chunky glitter on there and I like how it looks, I'm going to take a piece of wax paper and I'm just going to gently dab all over the chunky glitter to make sure that everything lays good and flat. And you don't have to use this particular color. You can use any color really. But I really love how this color shifting glitter looks on this black base. It really pops, and it is an eye catcher. This is actually my newest personal cup, and when I take it out in public, people freak about. It has become one of my best sellers. And as I mentioned before, BJ's glitter does have this same glitter called Unicorn Tears. And I wanted to let everyone know, if you're new to my channel or anything like that, BJ's, I did a video a while back. BJ's offered up an awesome discount code for all of my subscribers. And their discount code it's for 30% off, and it's KRIS30, Chris30, short for Christy's Custom Creations. But it's KRIS30, and that is for 30% off of your order at BJ's. So check it out. I will link all that down in the description box, and I'll also put the code down there for you too. I'm going to go ahead and put my excess glitter back into the container because I don't want to waste any of it. And prior to epoxy, I went ahead and sprayed my cup with this 2X Rust-Oleum Gloss Clear Spray Paint, and I let that completely dry before epoxy. And the point of doing that, it keeps that chunky glitter from trying to repel any epoxy. So sometimes that chunky glitter can try to repel it. So I always like to just give it just a real light coat to help hold on to that epoxy a little bit better. So for this coat of epoxy over the glitter, I have mixed up 20 milliliters, 20 mLs of my Tumblerpoxy epoxy, and I'm just going to spread it evenly over the cup. And I really want to concentrate on this chunky glitter area, making sure that I have excellent coverage, because chunky glitter can be a little hard to cover up sometimes. Plus, I don't have any glitter up top, so I really want to make sure I have good coverage on that chunky down low. So I'm just going to cover the cup pretty evenly with my epoxy, and once I get it all on there, I will spread it out with my finger like I usually do, and then I'm gonna let it spin. So I think I've got pretty good coverage now, and I'm going to go ahead and take my finger. I like to take just one finger, start at the bottom and push up. I don't like to start at the top and come down, because if you do that, you're going to push epoxy into your cup, and it just makes more work in the end to have to clean up. So always start at the bottom and push up. Once I do that, I wipe any major excess off the bottom, making sure that it's smooth, and because we definitely want our cup to sit evenly. And then I take my blowtorch, which I got from Amazon, and I'm going to do a quick pass on the cup, just knocking out any little micro bubbles and making sure my epoxy is nice and smooth so that it dries smoothly. So now I'm going to let my cup spin for about 6 hours. Just let it do its thing. And I tried messing with the lighting a little bit, turning the light on and off so that you can see how incredibly beautiful the color shift is on this glitter. It's really hard to get on camera though. So now that my cup has dried for about 6 hours, it just depends on what epoxy you use as to how long it needs to dry, but I did let this one dry for about 6 hours. So I'm now going on with a second coat of epoxy over my cup. And for this second coat, your epoxy doesn't have to be completely dry. You can have it, for the most part dry, but then just go on there, put this second coat on and get really good coverage. And then after this coat, it really needs to dry for a while, like 8 to 10 hours or so, because you want it completely dry before you sand it, which sanding is our next step after this. So I'm going to do what you just saw me do, and I'm just going to get really good coverage over my entire cup with my Tumblerpoxy epoxy. I'm going to take my finger, smooth it out. Once I have it smooth, I'll hit it with my blowtorch, pop any micro bubbles, and then I will let it spin, like I said, for probably 10 hours. It's going to spin overnight because I want it completely dry before I sand. Now that my cup is completely dry, it is time to take the sandpaper to it. So I've got a couple little bumps here and there where I had a wild piece of glitter try to stick up, which is not a problem at all. We're just going to knock it down with the sandpaper. So I'm going to take my 220 grit sandpaper. I purchased this sandpaper on Amazon, and I love it because it has a sticky back to it. It's got an adhesive back, and so it sticks nicely to my hand when I'm working with it. And I'm just going to concentrate on the bottom portion of the cup where the glitter is. No reason to sand the top, didn't put any glitter up there. So I'm only going to concentrate on the bottom part where this chunky glitter lays at. And I do want to mention, I got this sandpaper here on Amazon. I always buy my sandpaper on Amazon. I find it cheaper there than I've found anywhere else. So that is my go-to place for my sandpaper. And I will also have that linked down in the description box below. You want to knock down any lumps, bumps, anything that's kind of trying to stick up a little bit. Really concentrate on those edges, but don't sand too deep. If you sand too deep, you may damage the glitter. And so you just sand it to where it's smooth, but don't get crazy with it. Okay, now that I am happy with my sanding and my cup is nice and smooth, it is time to give my cup its first bath. So I'm just going to run it under some water, put some Dawn dish soap on there and wash it down really good. You want any excess dust from sanding, anything off of that cup. You don't want to leave anything on there that will get in the epoxy and create imperfections in the epoxy, because you want a beautiful glass finish on this cup, which, as I have mentioned before, Tumblerpoxy is my favorite go-to brand of epoxy, and Tumblerpoxy creates one of the most beautiful glass-like finishes that I have ever seen with an epoxy. And I will put their link also down in the description box for you below so that it's easier for you to find. All right, so I have made sure that my cup is completely dry after its bath. You do not want your cup to be wet. Water and epoxy don't go very well together. So my cup is completely dry. I'm going to put my glove on, get my cup spinning, and I'm going to put 20 milliliters of Tumblerpoxy epoxy onto the cup for my final layer. It's at this point, prior to the epoxy, if you wanted to put a decal on there, put a name or anything like that on there, you could. I personally did not want to take away from just the absolutely stunning glitter on this cup, so I did not put anything on there. I left it blank. I'm pretty sure this is my only cup that I have left blank, because I love to put my name and everything on my cups, but I couldn't take away from the beauty of this cup, so I left it blank. And I'm going to get really good coverage. I want a nice coat on here for my last coat, because like I said, it is my last coat and I want it to be perfect. Now that I am pretty happy with the epoxy coverage on the cup, I'm going to take my single finger with my gloved hand, and starting at the bottom of the cup like I did before, I'm going to push up, just smoothing down the epoxy and making sure that I did not miss any areas at all. All right, now I am going to take my handy dandy blowtorch and I'm going to make a quick pass on the cup, popping any micro bubbles and just making sure that my epoxy lays perfectly smooth for this final coat. And don't linger, just make really super quick passes, and it's so satisfying to watch any micro bubbles pop, which I do want to mention, Tumblerpoxy has very little micro bubbles, but I am going to let my cup spin for about 10 hours or so, let it completely dry, and be sure to let it cure for the 72-hour mark. And this is the final the finished product here for my cup. Look how absolutely stunning it is. I wish the pictures and video would really show justice of how beautiful it is. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Also check out the description box below for discount codes and links to all the products that I used. I hope y'all have a great day and y'all take care. Bye.